Good evening. It's about 7 o'clock. I had to wait. Summer's not good for listening to things like shortwave and things like that in the day. In British summertime, that's not unusual. So you have to wait till night time. So I've waited until 7 PM to do this video. Bit of an unusual setting this. And this is because I've got my old PCR radio out. Now this was the focus of my last video. If you watch my last video, it was a tribute to we are expecting Radio 4 on Longwave to end broadcasting pretty soon. So I did a video of the shipping broadcast and God Save the King, and it went down really well. Up to now it's had 14,000 views and loads more subscribers, so thank you for everyone that's watched that. So I thought, I've actually done a video, but I decided to do another one instead of the one that I actually did a few weeks ago, because things have changed. So I thought I'd tell you the story of this radio. Now this radio nearly kills me. My dad bought this probably late 60s, and my granddad had a similar one as well. And originally it had at the side of it a big box. It had an external power supply, external AC power supply, pretty big, full of valves. And I was in my cot one day, and this was playing away, probably on Longwave. And where Radio 4 is now, when I was a child, it would have been Radio 2. So maybe I was listening to Jimmy Young. I don't know, quite possibly. And the power supply at the side started burning, started setting on fire. So my mum and dad were in the back garden doing a bit of gardening, planting the plants, and suddenly they'd left the little window open upstairs so they could hear if I was crying or anything like that. And I wasn't crying. There was billows of smoke coming out of the window, so they run up, fearing the worst, that I inhaled all the smoke and I wasn't very well, but I was fine. So this radio nearly killed me. Thankfully, one of the members in the family is a radio genius. So obviously the power supply was absolutely destroyed. My dad still wanted to use the radio, so now it's still got all its internal workings in it originally, so it's got all its valves for its audio, and there's not much changed in it. The only thing that's changed in it is it's got you see in there where that wire goes in, it's got a modern transformer in it. Obviously its original power source was blown, and they didn't want it to be unsafe again, so my Uncle Graham did a few modifications, which is great because not a lot of these sets actually work these days, and this one still does. So thank you to you, Graham, for doing that. She's still here and still playing loud. Now people keep asking me what set it is. It's actually a PCR, which means PCR, which is what does it mean? Public communications receiver, portable communications receiver. Nearly got it wrong there, which is a bit of a lie because that thing is not very portable. It weighs an absolute ton, and there's 3 different versions of it. This is a PCR 1, and it was built about 1944. Was it carted through the trenches of Europe, obviously because it's a World War II radio? Well, no, I've looked on a few websites. I knew a bit anyway, but I actually looked through websites to see where people said it was used, and obviously some of the comments I've had on YouTube as well. So one guy says he remembers these sets in what they call naffy cafes. Naffy cafes are Navy, Army, Air Force institution cafes. So years ago they were all over the globe. So if you worked in those, we worked for the Army, Navy or Air Force, you had a cafe and it was run by the Institute. They've actually got now, I think about 4 on the main streets in the UK. We had one in Lancaster, which is where I lived, but it's closed down now because the rent and rates were too much. So people remember them in those cafes. Also, it's actually listed as an invasion set. So So I'm assuming what we know as Dad's Army, because of the TV programme, I'm sure they all had one of these sets in case we were invaded. I'm assuming when they call it an invasion radio, that's what they mean. You know, all those outpost stations got one. And it also says online it was actually used by the Resistance. Listen very carefully, I only say this once. So Resistance didn't really, they weren't really kind of radio operators. So it seems like it was kept very, very simple. So the messages that they got were coded messages within our normal broadcasting. So we had the home service actually turned to the national service. So the whole of the UK had the same service, the national service. And they did that for, I think, 2 reasons. Obviously, we were all getting the same messages. We were getting Churchill every night, keeping us all informed. But also, the planes couldn't get. Obviously, there wasn't much in the way of what do you call it, radar and stuff like that. So one way that planes could actually plot where they were when the stations were different, because you used to have stations that were BBC stations that were regional. So you had North, you had it was what do you call it? Yeah. So you had stations more regional. So it was all called a national service, and I think they might have changed the frequencies, so some of them were on the same frequencies. I'm not sure. Sounds like common sense to me. So if it's all the national service, they couldn't use it as a reference if they wanted to actually bomb a certain place. All interesting stuff. So I thought I'd put it on today. Thank you very much for all the comments. Like 300 comments. We've had people that actually used the what do you call it, shipping forecasting tugs. We've had people that actually work for the forces comment. We've had engineers that worked on the transmitter comment. We've had people that worked on oil rigs. We've had people in remote areas. We've got people that still listen to it. They've all commented on that video, and it really made me weak last week. And yeah, up to now 14,000 views. Well chuffed for that. Thank you very much. And it's all because of you. Thank you very much. I'm getting embarrassed now. So I thought I'd give you a little twiddle round it. Yeah, obviously we're actually in the laundrette room. That's the washing machine, and I've put it here for a reason. I can get an aerial outside, so it's got about 10-15 meters of wire on it. But it really suffers from interference, unlike some of my more modern radios don't. As you will see when we're flicking through the bands. So we'll start on medium wave and see what we can get on medium wave these days. And as you'll hear in the background, it'll be just like absolute utter noise, and that's created by modern technology. Go back to the 90s, none of that was there. The interference you used to get was things like washing machines used to make a noise, and old school washing machines, they used to get when the tub turned around, they used to make an awful noise. And TV, when they were tube TVs, if you were too near to them, they made a whistle. But now we're getting interference from transformers in mobile phones, in computers, all over the place, and it just makes a dinge at the back and blocks some of the weaker signals out, which is a shame. So all down, as we know, slowly AM has been turned off in the UK, so there's not a hell of a lot there. If you've watched some of my videos, we're just going to go through the same lot, but well, we've got him out, I thought we'd do it. So we'll start at the bottom of medium wave. Let's go to the bottom. Nothing.
Feel like he had some good long balls, he wanted the ball, he wants a link. So I don't think we could be too critical of Jordan Henderson in today's performance.
That's the aerial tuner.
4 years ago, England beat Andorra 5.
At 693 medium wave.
Once. So it's just not that team anymore.
And that's from Barrow-in-Furness, which is just down the road from us, basically.
Lots of games, but
it's getting through really, really well. They're supposed to turn all the AM signals off and go digital only by 2027. Is that going to happen? Possibly. But the western coast of Cumbria's got a little bit of a problem. It's not covered by DAB properly yet. So, certain stuff that's in Barrow-in-Furness is not on. You can't receive it on DAB. I think you're fine for Radio 5, but the other transmitters there that will go past next is Radio Cumbria, and I don't know if that's broadcasted on DAB Plus, which is on the smaller multiplexes, not the national ones. You don't get that on DAB in certain areas on that area. So yeah, so that's from Barrow-in-Furness.
I think that we should expect to see more from them.
It's very noisy. And that's BBC Radio Cumbria 837 from Barrow-in-Furness. I expecting that some of the local BBCs have abandoned Longwave and medium wave a long time ago, but this is still here because they're having a problem with DAB, I suspect. Next.
He's got limited time, but also use that time in a structure.
That's Radio 5 again, 909. So that'll be more side edge, won't it?
I have to say, Morgan, I'm pleased to say this is quite a cool room that we're in.
And then we go past the. So they use my other sets, a lot of my other sets, but we actually got internal batteries, which actually loses a lot of the noise that this is picking up. The noise it's picking up, the interference it's picking up through the mains, basically. Yeah, through its plug socket. So that's TalkSport 1053, and this suffers again. This is why TalkSport's still here, which they've turned a lot of their transmitters off. They've turned them 7, but they've just left the big ones now. They're on DAB Plus, and not everyone's got DAB Plus, so if they turn it off, a lot of people lose it, and a lot of remote areas as well, which are not covered by DAB really well, will lose TalkSport as well, because they haven't got an FM alternative. FM covers lots of Cumbria pretty well and covers a lot of the UK pretty well, but yeah, DAB, they're still putting more and more multiplexes in. That'll take some time, and I don't think just the way that DAB is set up, I think if they turned FM off, which they want to in 2034, which I definitely don't think is going to happen, what will happen is certain areas won't get radio. DAB is just the way it's set up, it just doesn't cover as well as FM does.
Is a good player.
That's 1089 TalkSport again.
He moved over to the right, probably won a corner, so he can...
And I think that'll be more side edge, won't it? I think so. Now the only other one that we'll get now is Manx radio from the Isle of Man. There is more things there, but obviously this gets a lot of interference, so it's just in that background dinge. If I go onto my digital set in there, I can get other things, but you know, I can get things like Dale's Radio and different things. Probably Radio Scotland will be coming in at this time, but yeah, the last one will be Manx. Oh no, that's one of the Asian stations from Manchester, I think. Yours? Is that 1296? I can never know what I never remember what that's called.
All week he was always conceding time in the early part of the race and then coming back.
It was, we all thought Harrison had that super sport race sort of in hand, didn't we? But when he just Michael Dunlop pulled the pin as he's done many a time and took another.
That's Manx Radio 1368 from the Isle of Man, which is we get the signal pretty good over here because there's nothing in the way of the signal to interfere with it, even though its power's not as big as what Radio 5 would be broadcasting, or Talksport. We get it pretty well. We've got kind of a line of sight.
John McGuinness is senior.
And they've been broadcasting, it usually broadcasts Manx Radio Gold, and as we know, second week of every month they broadcast Radio Caroline North. If you watch this channel, you'll know I talk about that quite a bit. It's good programming though. But in the last 2 weeks they've been broadcasting the Manx TT, and they've had absolutely awful weather. So it's about 7 o'clock, and I think
move on from there.
It was onwards and upwards, wasn't it, for Michael through the week, not off the podium or through the week, for any performance by.
So I think they're just about to do the senior race. They've had to wait for it rained this morning, so they've had to wait for the roads to dry out. So it's 7 o'clock. It should have been a lot earlier than that. A lot of I think it's only doing 4 laps instead of 6. They've really struggled this year to get the races in, so everything's a bit late. So the poor DJ this afternoon, obviously there was nothing to report. There'd been nothing. I don't think there was any races in the morning. He kind of had to make it up as he went along, so he was asking for requests and things like that from people on the island, or volunteers that were volunteering for the races, and it was getting some quite interesting requests. One was tight fit, the lion sleeps tonight.
Win number 31 from Wigan's Rob Hodgson on the SMC pattern of Paul Jordan.
Now let's go to Longwave, and the only thing we'll get on Longwave is 198 Radio 4 Longwave. Now this is, as we know, from Droitwich. Well, it's actually from the village just down the road, Witchbold, and it'll be absolutely flying in, I should think, like usual. There we go.
Profile was presented by Stephen Smith. The producer was Bob Howard.
I would be very happy if you would do me the honour of dancing with me.
On BBC iPlayer.
That man is so full of himself. I'm surprised he can stay on that horse.
Go back to a time when people...
It sounds so beautiful. It'd be a real shame when it goes. It's the most powerful transmitter, even though we know now it's not broadcasting on its full power it used to. I think it's about half of what it used to be. But it's the only transmitter that covers the whole of the UK. A lot of people say because of emergency purposes, people can turn the internet off, or there might be power cuts. The only thing that can broadcast to the whole of the UK is this, and it should be kept there for emergency services. Kind of happened in Spain. Spain had a power outage, was it about a month ago? I never found out what that power outage was, whether it was a cyber attack or just something on the grid went wrong. But the first thing that people did, apparently, was run out to shops to get mobile phone wouldn't work, nothing would work. So to get signals from other areas, everyone rushed out to buy portable radio. So shops that were selling portable radios run out within hours. So what people are suggesting is not absolutely stupid. And everyone asks, when will it end? Well, I did that video, stayed up till 1 AM, which is not my usual time these days, to get the shipping broadcast. And you know, people are saying, when will it end? From what I can work out, like, it was supposed to end this time last year. But as we know, the main reason it didn't end up is because it's got a time signal underneath that controls, what do you call it, cheap rate and expensive rate for old electric meters. So if you've got an economy 7 radiator and you haven't got a smart meter, you've got an old meter, it changes from expensive in the day to cheap at night using this signal. Now the switchover hadn't worked. There's still hundreds of thousands of people that use it. So from a website that I read, if you're on a bus now, it'll say it's time for the switchover. Apply for a smart meter. You'll see all these signs on buses. So they've put the application for a smart meter at the end of June. Now, from what I've read in one article, this signal won't end at the end of June, even though last year the statement was by the BBC, we'll do it to the end of the June, but we can't guarantee how reliable it's going to be, because some of the equipment they're using on 198 Longwave is very, very old now. So that comes into a factor a little bit, it must do. So from something I've read, what they're going to do is they've put an end date. Everyone does an end date to try and persuade everyone to do it, but they can't keep up with the instalments of these smart meters. So I think it will be there till this article said the end of August. And what they plan to do is switch everyone over. Some regions have converted to smart meter faster than others, so they're going to do it. They're going to do a switch off within regions, so this signal will stay. I think because they need an end date for Radio 4, they'll finish Radio 4 first, the actual audio for Radio 4, and well, some people have indicated this is what's going to happen, and they'll just put a loop to tell you to retune or use your computer or your smart speakers, or retune to FM or DAB. I think that's what's going to happen. So I think by the end of June we'll end up on a loop telling us to retune to other things. I think that's what's going to happen, but nobody really knows. As someone said on one of my videos, because turning this off has been threatened so many times, someone said, it ain't over till it's over. That was Lenny Kravitz, that was. It was a good tune, that was. Early 90s, 91? Don't know, I'll have to look that up in a bit. We'll go through Shortwave, and then I'm going to leave you. Shortwave won't be good at the moment. It's just going through a bad patch in the summer. That's not unusual for Shortwave, you know. Shortwave relies, to travel long distance, it relies on the ionosphere to bounce off and up and down and travel the distance. It doesn't use ground wave or line of sight. It uses the ionosphere, so the signal gets bounced up and down. That's why when you hear shortwave, and it happens late at night on medium wave, the signal fade in and out and in it because it's bouncing on the ionosphere at the moment. And in summer, summer is never the best for shortwave. Generally, all bands act a little bit differently, so I'm saying generally, some bands are better than others, and actually, some actually do work better in the summer than they do the winter. It's complicated. If you want to find out how radio works, put it in Google. There's people that can actually explain it better than me. But yes, let's go to Shortwave, see what we can find. We might find some of those naughty pirates. Oh. Right. So we'll start right at the bottom. The 49 metre, or the European band as I call it. God, it takes some doing that, does. My aerial tuner. That sounds about right. So that's very low 49, 5/800 way somewhere. I think that'll be a pirate. I can kind of tell from the music. Or it may be Radio Veronica on 5955. I'm guessing Radio Veronica now. It's all pretty dead. By the sounds of that music, that's Radio Europe, and that usually flies in, and it's really weak today. So yeah, in the summer, Shortwave really does affect it. Come back to this in 2 hours' time, that thing will be totally different. Have a reference on my digital one. So that's something on 6140. I'm not 100% sure of that. There's supposed to be a station testing from Luxembourg. I don't know if that's the station. Maybe it's something else, but that's been coming in really well all day. There, it's just about getting. That's Shortwave Radio Gold, whichever it wants to call itself. Been the best all day. That's weekend music radio on 6325. These on every Saturday and Sunday. It's probably one of the oldest pirate radio stations on Shortwave now. So if you got a Shortwave set, keep an eye on 6325. It usually comes on in the afternoon, not the morning. That always flies in. So we'll go up to the next broadcast band and have a quick look as well. Yeah, that's Jack.
Weekend music radio with a great band, the Eagles. As I was saying, I was watching YouTube and having a look at some of the phone videos some people have put up from the Sphere in Las Vegas. And you know,
so I'll go to the next broadcast band. Broadcast bands are always marked, and that's where things like radio stations that do talk and music broadcast, the broadcast stuff, they're always marked. In the middle there'll be different things like what they call utilities or navy stuff, or a lot of it's digital coded and stuff like that, and there'll be some quite strange stuff as well sometimes. So we'll just go up to the next broadcast. See all sorts of strange stuff. That is a radio amateur band. So that's if you ever had a CB, it's like CB, but radio amateurs on shortwave travels a long way. That's what shortwave does. So you have to do an exam before you're allowed to do it. And they don't broadcast on the whole band. They have a broadcast on what they call lower side band or upper side band. So on the lower side of the frequency or the upper side of the frequency, and you need a communication set to descramble that, and it'll descramble it into normal words. This radio can't do it, so it sounds like that. So we get into the higher bands. The signals are a little bit better on than 49 meter bands. Why? Because the higher bands, stations from Asia use them because they travel a bit differently. So they use the ionosphere, where 49 meter band covers like the area of Europe. It kind of goes like that, where the higher bands start going like that, or the extreme higher bands will go like that. So they can bounce a signal all the way from Asia into the UK, and they're broadcasting tens of thousands of watts, where the 49 meter bands, where a lot of the European stuff is, there's no state broadcasters there anymore. Most of the licenses given out now are very are hobbyists. The Dutch government gives quite a lot of them out. Germany does give them out as well, but I think they'll only give the highest award is about 1,000 watts, where these will be broadcasting on. Hell knows how many watts that is. As you see, all the bands at the moment are pretty dead. Right, next broadcast band, and then we'll disappear.
And that too unpredictable. You make a tunnel, you find the water reservoir, it gets flooded, it gets squeezed, it gets ooze from the bottom. So you got to have a new technology every time when you reach such kind of predicament.
So that will be coming direct. We're on higher bands now. That'll be coming direct. It will bounce like that, disappear for hundreds of miles, and then come back down in the UK.
But no, present government.
Same there. I'm not an expert. A lot of the stuff that you get up here, I'm not an expert on higher bands. You get Radio China a lot, Radio Romania, Transworld Radio Monte Carlo. Is it Turkey? Do you get the Voice of Turkey as well? There's quite a few, but obviously I only know standard English language. I'm dyslexic, so a lot of people did French at school, but my high school teacher looked at me and said, "You're finding it really hard to actually grasp English, so confusing with you for French was not a good idea." So I only know one language. But I don't mind listening to the Dutch pirates because it's what they call the Germanic language. So a lot of what they say, I can kind of get the gist of what's going on. Where stuff from Asia, I haven't a problem. It's structured differently.
Resistance group Hamas, following comments by a former minister that Israel had to transfer weapons to it. Israeli and Palestinian media have reported that the group Israel has been working with is part of a local Bedouin tribe led by Yasser Abu Shabab. The European Council on Foreign Relations think tank describes Abu Shabab as the leader of a criminal gang operating in the
I don't know what station that is, but every station at the moment, the big subject is obviously Palestine and Donald Trump. At the moment, at the time of broadcasting, he's now fallen out with Elon Musk. We all saw that one coming, to be quite honest with you.
Social media on Thursday. It is only good. It is saving lives of Israeli soldiers. Michael Milstein, an expert.
But now, at 25, it goes quieter, don't it? So we're really getting to the other side of the world now. The wonderful world of shortwave. See, all these things we're getting at 7 PM. Tonight, if it's in the winter, they wouldn't be here. At the top end of shortwave. The banners just change, as I say, if you want to know how radio works, especially AM bands. I'm not the best person to tell you. So, but the higher they go, the further the signals are from, basically. So we're on what you call 14 megahertz. So I think that might be the Firecracker. It's a jamming signal from China that it broadcasts on different frequencies where radio stations are on that they don't want their population to actually pick up. It's called the Firecracker. I think that's what that might be. It does exist. If you type it into YouTube, Manchester Ringway did a great video about it. But yes, another interesting bit in the amazing world of shortwave. We're right high now.
Absolutamente, lo dice el marcador. Vidasoa un 20, además León 20. Por tanto, vamos a tener que esperar, yo creo que casi hasta el final del partido, si esto sí o sí, para conocer qué va a ser el del Barça en la final de la...
Wow.
Pero de momento mucha igualdad en la pista.
So that'd be about 16 megahertz.
La segunda semifinal de ascenso a la Liga.
Pretty lively up at the top, but up at the bottom, pretty dead. So yes, that's my little roundup. Give you a quick look round shortwave. One thing I've got to do before I go is thank my Buy Me a Coffee people. I'm going to do that now. Knock that off for a minute. So I've thanked most people, but I've had 2 more in the last 3 weeks. My Buy Me Coffee link, anyone can buy me coffee. It's on the top of my YouTube page. If you go there, Buy Me Coffee. I sometimes put it in the description as well, but it's on top of the YouTube description. So yeah, we've in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we've had 2 more. But all the ones that were built up over the last 90 days actually helped me buy a new battery for my phone, which was great. So that's what it was spent on, so it wasn't wasted, everyone. So we'll go, it says so this is top support, so no, yeah, this is, yeah, I think I've had this for about a year. So this is all the people that have donated in the last year. James Patrick Hewitt, Richard Potterson, John McDonald, Ray King, Laser 558. You can listen to them on. You can listen to those on your Alexia. Just say Alexia, play Laser 558. Captain Torch, Chris Burry. He's busy tinkering in his garage with his car. He is. Darren Storer, Andy Fleet. Thank you, Andy Fleet. Pat, Kevin O'Reilly, Luke Brown, Andy Fleet again. Thank you, Andy. Pat again. Thank you very much. Andy Fleet again. So the last two I've had is Steve Lomax and Andy Fleet. Andy Fleet 3 times now. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. It helps me fund new things for the channel. The next one is to kind of save up. I'm going to save it up for a year. Bit frightened that if this phone ever breaks, I can't afford 400 odd quid in one shot. So I'm going to save it up. So I've got a backup, or might actually, so I can edit videos better, get one of those tablets. Not sure yet, but yeah, that's I think the next mission with the Buy Me a Coffee. So yes, I'm off now. If you want to like and subscribe, that'd be great. And yes, thank you very much. The last video, totally overwhelmed how many views it's got and how many subscribers. It's made my week. Thank you very much everyone for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Una que creo que a Patrick le va a gustar bastante, Sydney Shortwave, jugadora que cuando Pera Romeo ha apostado por ella ha sido diferencial.